Folks, welcome back. Day 2 of Worlds has concluded, and it's in the evening here in the United States, so it's been done for quite a long time now, and I missed most of it. I was working, I'm a dad, so if you're like me and you missed most of Day 2 Worlds, you're in the right place. I'm going to be watching two of the matches that happened today and reacting to them. I don't know what happened in them, and so it'll be fresh and spontaneous, and so let's get right into it. The first match we're going to watch, I actually don't know which round this is, but we'll find out here in a second. It's one of the middle rounds. It's versus Daniele Spuntarelli and Eisuke Nakayama. Hope I got those names right. Might struggle with the names a little bit today. And so we've got, from Daniele, we've got the team that, I believe it was Pato from Italy, won a regional with this year. Swordfish, but I wouldn't call it standard. There's the Moltres, the Galarian Moltres, and the Shedinja, which make it kind of unique. And then Eisuke's got, I would call it a standard team. Groudon, Zacian, great support options. That's probably an offensive Thundurus, but we'll see. The Feeny to support, and the Incineroar, of course, and then the Venusaur can Gigantamax. So let's get into this. So initial thoughts. I don't think Shedinja comes to this matchup because of the Venusaur. I could be wrong. Maybe if Daniele feels like he needs the Shedinja to face off against the Zacian, because Zacian usually cannot touch Shedinja. He might bring it, but I don't think it's coming here. So we see Kyogre right away. Makes sense. Venusaur lead makes perfect sense because you can swap in Groudon. Immediately go for a Sleep Powder, Gigantamax, do damage. This could be a swap Kyogre into maybe Shedinja. We'll see. He does get the sun up. Venusaur's fast. Let's see if Daniele switches out Kyogre to... Okay, he does not. So I would imagine that means Kyogre's Dynamaxing here. Because I don't think you just let it stay in and take a ton of damage from a G-Max Vine Lash, but it could be a Protect as well. No, it's a Dynamax. Could see a Protect from Zacian here to not get hit by a Max Weather Ball from Venusaur or not get Sleep Powdered. Of course, it's not going to Sleep Powder because it's a Gigantamax, but sure enough, there's no Protect and Zacian just goes down. The crit may have mattered. Is it Life Orb? It is a Life Orb, so it may not have mattered. Okay, but the rain comes back up. Venusaur is no longer speedy. And Groudon does not like this position very much. Probably going to have to switch out here. There's this Shedinja. Okay. Okay. So Eisuke is really going to want to set the Vine Lash. Probably on this turn if he can. Because he doesn't want to wait till the turn 3 of Dynamax and do it into a Max Guard, and then he won't get the Vine Lash up. The residual damage. So he probably wants to do it this turn. But there's always an ally switch available for Shedinja. So, and there it is. There it is. Yep. So hard to play around. And that is a fainted Thundurus. Now that Thundurus has near max HP, so probably support. Probably support Thundurus. Taunt, Eerie Impulse, Thunder Wave, that kind of stuff. So they both have lost a Pokemon here. How is Eisuke going to deal with this Shedinja? Substitute. Oh my goodness. That's brutal. Yeah, I mean, what's he gonna do? Venusaur could Weather Ball the Shedinja, hit it for super effective, provided the Groudon switches in and changes the weather. But he may not have very many options other than that. I mean, Groudon can hit it too. Probably with a Fire Punch or something, or a Rock move. Okay, Frenzy Plant. So no Ally Switch this time, finally. He gets a lot of damage on Kyogre. And Poltergeist? Yeah. Oh, but a miss. Okay, the 90% accurate move misses. A little break for Eisuke there. Still, Shedinja. Still a problem. Behemoth Blade, he tried to call an Ally Switch. Did not work. So hard to deal with. And once you've used Ally Switch twice as Daniele, you're really in your opponent's head. I mean, the Ally Switch, you've kind of shown your opponent that you're trigger happy with Ally Switch, and so, but you can use that to your advantage and not Ally Switch. That's just what he did. So this is a wrap. Should be. Groudon should be able to hit the Shedinja, but typically on these teams, Groudon is pretty slow. But the Groudon does not have much HP investment, so okay, it's actually fast. Kyogre hangs on. Okay, Focus Sash Shedinja, so it's not safety goggles. But Kyogre does not flinch, gets the KO. Okay. So I was wrong at the outset. I said maybe Shedinja doesn't come. It definitely kind of was the MVP there. And how would Eisuke adapt? I mean, Venusaur is a must. You gotta bring Venusaur. It's tough. You might want to bring Incineroar. You obviously have to bring Groudon. Yeah, he could bring the same four. He could bring the same four and just say, you know what, I just got to call the ally switches this time. Or the lack of ally switches. He knows he can put the Shedinja to sleep now if he has Sleep Powder. He didn't reveal it. Because it was Focus Sash and not Safety Goggles. So potentially he could go for Sleep Powders and just not worry if there's an ally switch coming out or not because something is going to go to sleep. I would assume on this composition for Daniele that the Galarian Moltres is Safety Goggles. Yeah, that was brutal. Two G-Max Vine Lashes into a Wonder Guard. Just doing absolutely nothing. Crazy. Okay, there's the Moltres. Well, Incineroar is a good bring here, for sure. So this is already looking better. As long as Eisuke doesn't go for a Sleep Powder into the Moltres, this is looking pretty good for him. Wonder what Daniele does with the Zacian slot. He really doesn't want to be there. Because there's also the potential play of what happened in Game 1 where Groudon swaps in and Venusaur gets the max flare off, but that doesn't happen. Okay, Gigantamaxing. And Moltres Dynamaxes, yeah. Going for Airstreams. Safety Goggles Moltres is just very good against Venusaur. Very good against Sun in general. That's kind of what it's there for. Yep, very safe. Max Guard, okay. Airstream goes into that, yep. Parting Shot, nice. Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. From Eisuke's point of view, you look at Daniele's lead and you think, yeah, Moltres going to Dynamax. Super safe for him. Assume it's Safety Goggles. There's no reason why he wouldn't Dynamax there. Okay, Zacian wants to reset its attack boost for later. Get Intimidate off on Eisuke's Zacian. It's going to do big damage. Over half, yep. Berserk gets activated. Okay. So Moltres is going to be alive for a few more turns, but he's got the Vine Lash at least. Question is, can he pressure Daniele's team enough where the Shedinja comes in and takes Vine Lash damage? Then again, there may not be a Shedinja because Daniele may have adapted, bringing the Moltres instead of the Shedinja. Yeah, actually, there shouldn't be a Shedinja, right? Because you would imagine there's Kyogre in the back. So it's a much better game plan, a much better start for Eisuke, but still the Moltres is scary. It's at neutral, special attack. Close combat. Ooh, barely lives. I like close combatization. I think I'm one of the few. Oh wow. One more tick of Vine Lash will take Moltres down to 1 HP if I'm doing my mental math correctly. But we could see the Incineroar just swapped in right on Eisuke's side, so we could see a fake out just for the damage into that slot. Oh, but okay, Max is done. Yeah. Could see a fake out into Moltres and swap to Groudon, or a fake out into Kyogre and swap to Groudon. Yeah, Eisuke wants to keep his Incineroar healthy. Okay, no swap to Groudon. Yeah, okay, cool. Cool. He just lets Moltres go down to Vine Lash. And if Kyogre has Water Spout, it's going to do a little bit less now. And Daniele gets to Synthesization back in. Eisuke probably wants to swap out his Incineroar to save it for later, come back in, get the Intimidate down in Zacian. Because a Healthy Zacian, even though Daniele's down to his last two Pokemon, Healthy Zacian is still pretty scary. I forgot to mention this is round 4. Both players are at 3-0 at this point. Having a great day 2. Yeah, that was the solid play. Close combat, good damage. Oh, that was a crit. Wow. Should be a KO. Yeah, Venusaur is going to come in and it's going to be great. Going to be in a good spot. And it's Life Orb. I think Kyogre does hang on. But Venusaur having the Life Orb and having Weather Ball should mean that it should be able to knock out the Zacian, since Zacian got chipped a little bit. I think that puts it in range of Life Orb Weather Ball pretty easily. Yeah, should be 1-1 now. If you're Daniele, I think you're already thinking about your adjustments for game 3. That is Shadow Claw is almost always on an Assault Vest set for Groudon, and I did assume it was Assault Vest, but the HP stat is so low for Groudon. I wonder if it's just a really fast Assault Vest Groudon. Which would be interesting. I mean, it was faster than the Kyogre there. Kyogre on Daniele's side is max HP, so it's probably not all that fast. But that's unusual. Usually the Kyogre is faster. So Daniele's probably like, you know what? If I were him, I'd be like, the Shedinja worked for me game 1. I clicked Ally Switch a couple times. Frustrated my opponent. The Moltres was not bad at all. But it took about 60% from Behemoth Blade, and I think the Behemoth Blade was even neutral. It wasn't even +1 attack. So it just takes so much damage from Zacian and can't do anything in return to it. But it's very good into the Sun aspects of Eisuke's team. So Moltres is still bringable, I think, but the Shedinja was quite good. And I think we saw 3 of the 4 moves. I think we saw Shadow Sneak, Poltergeist, Ally Switch. And these days, usually Endure is the last move. People find that Endure is better than Protect. on Shedinja. He does stick with the Moltres. Okay. Okay. Mind games here. Eisuke could swap the Groudon, go for the max flare into Zacian. He could just sleep powder the Zacian slot, expecting Incineroar to come in. Because I think Incineroar swapping into the Zacian slot for Daniele is very reasonable. Once you get the Intimidate on Eisuke's Zacian. And help Moltres stay alive. Yep. Ooh, swapping out the Venusaur for Incineroar. Okay. Okay. Moltres does not Dynamax, just stalls a turn. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Because even when Eisuke's at neutral, Eisuke'ization's at neutral, like we saw in the last game, it still is so much damage to Moltres. Moltres does not have an excellent defense stat. It has an excellent special defense stat, but doesn't like to see Zacian there. Okay. Both players playing a very positional first couple turns here of game 3, really feeling each other out, wanting to get in the right spots. Fake out and sub, okay. Now, it's hard to say if that's good for Eisuke or not. Because it's not at +1 attack, it's at neutral. He can go for the close combat into Incineroar. It might be a roll to KO. But Kyogre is in a pretty good spot here. Yeah. Definitely the time to max Kyogre. He just has to watch out for Venusaur coming in later. He might be able to sleep powder it in the middle of its Dynamax and shut down some of those Dynamax turns. Oh, wow. Interesting choice. I thought you'd go for Incineroar there. Okay. Eisuke kept his Incineroar in. Wow, that was brave. He kept his Incineroar in, facing down a Kyogre. He probably figured that Kyogre would go for that play. And he's like, I'll just go for Parting Shot. I'm not going to play too defensive here. Okay. Close combat into Incineroar is looking pretty good here. Just get the KO, I would say. He might hard swap out Incineroar, though. He could go for sub just to try to keep stalling Kyogre's turns of Dynamax. Okay, he wants to reset his defenses and his attack stat. Yeah, and support the Venusaur with the Sun. Nice. Nice. Yeah, so Daniele covers for like a max Quake from Venusaur into that slot and a Sleep Powder because Moltres is presumably safety goggles, but Eisuke Dynamaxes, he probably just goes for Vine Lash here, honestly. Yeah. Rosemary says that didn't do much at all. In a sense, that's true, because it's a super effective Gigantamax move. But that's good damage, and it's gonna... the residual's gonna add up. Venusaur probably has to max guard here unless Eisuke feels like going for a really brave play. But it probably has to max guard and swap out Groudon. I don't think you want to stay in and attack with Groudon here, even though you know your Groudon is faster than the Kyogre. There's a very good chance that Incineroar comes in for the Intimidate, and yeah, swapping out is the play. He probably knows very well he could lose his Incineroar here. Venusaur is still faster than the Kyogre, but Kyogre hangs on with 1 HP. I'm quite excited. I'm keeping my voice low because my kids are sleeping, but... Wow. Hangs on with 1 HP just long enough to take down the Incineroar, which is huge because Daniele still has a Zacian that can now just come in and not be intimidated for the rest of the game. But with no Kyogre anymore, the combo of Venusaur and Groudon is pretty potent here. This is tense. This is a close endgame, I think. Venusaur has one more turn of max, I think. Oh, White Herb. Wow. Wow. I didn't see that coming. Whoa, that was a crit that mattered. Wow. Wow. That does not normally KO the Moltres there. Big Rock Slide. Okay, the Flare Blitz in the Sun does take out Venusaur. But this is a lot of recoil on Incineroar. And it does faint, yeah. So now it's Zacian versus a weak Groudon and a Zacian. Okay. So we see the speed interactions here. They're either speed tying or Eisuke is faster, so that's really big. That should mean that Eisuke pulls this one out. Yeah. Yep. Actually, he doesn't have a fire move, so he needs to press his blades. Okay, but it does connect. It does connect. That would have been a loss if he had not connected there. Wow. Good stuff. That was fun. That was a really fun weather war type of match. I always love those. Your brain's just going at a mile a minute, like, getting the positioning right, getting the intimidates down on the opposing Zacian, but also trying to win the weather war, trying to make sure you save your weather for the end game, and you don't just lose in the end. Nice. Okay, on to the second game that we're going to cover. This is the last round of the day. This is round 7. It is, let me make this full screen. Shohei Kimura versus Naoto Mizubuchi. So I had to choose another weather war. That's not why I chose this one. I chose this one because I just wanted to watch the last round of the day, because that means that both of these players have good records. Presumably it's a win and in situation. So I mean they're both just locked in. They're also probably fatigued because Worlds is a long tournament, but just locked in. Just like I gotta win a couple more games here, and that's all it is until Top Cut of Worlds 2022 in London. This is it. Okay. So even though we have Kyogre versus Groudon like last time, this is going to play out very differently. The Lunala is a much different type of Pokemon. The Lunala Groudon team is just very bulky, especially with screens. But he goes for a more offensive lead with the Charizard. We've been seeing that at Worlds. We've been seeing the Charizard come to the Swordfish matchups, which I feel like throughout I could be wrong in this, but I feel like throughout the year, the game plan typically for these Sun teams was not to bring Groudon. I'm sorry, not to bring Charizard against Swordfish. So we'll see how this goes. And it does look like, looking at the HP stats on the Charizard, it does look like it's one of the bulkier weakness policy. I would guess weakness policy Charizards. That item on Charizard has popped up like crazy leading up to Worlds and in the Worlds tournament. And really, we hadn't seen it hardly at all throughout the year. So it's just one of those cool things, one of those cool trends that you see at Worlds. And this is definitely a turn 1 Dynamax situation, probably from both players here. Kind of surprised the Groudon didn't swap out, but there's always the mind game, because there is a Gastrodon here on the Naruto side. There's always the mind game that Shohei always has presently in his brain of, is the Gastrodon going to come in? I have to respect the fact that he has a Gastrodon and that Kyogre's attacks could be nullified. So we'll see. Maybe he just goes for the courageous Max Geyser and he says, you know what, I'm just going to risk it. Maybe he goes for Max Lightning. Behemoth Blade is going to do a ton to either of these Pokemon. Wow, so that Charizard is bulky. Normally it takes like, I want to say 75% or so from a Behemoth Blade. It took less than 50. Okay, Airstream. Even though it's bulky, it's still faster than the restricteds on the field, or the Kyogre and the Groudon, I should say. And the Zacian already goes down. Max Geyser should take it out. Does not take it out. Oh my goodness. Weakness policy? This is crazy. 2022 is crazy. I mean, a couple months ago, if you had said that Worlds would be full of these bulky Charizards that can live a double up of +1 Behemoth Blade into Max Geyser, of course it's in the sun, but still, it's Kyogre, Max Geyser, and it lives? And now it's the fastest thing on the field, and it's gonna go to town here. So the rain is up. So Naoto has to consider, does he want to go for a G-Max Wildfire here before Charizard goes down? Just to get the residual off later? It's not going to do a ton of damage because rain is up. Okay, there's a... Oh, okay, Max Guard, yeah. Protect Incineroar, that's also been popping up. I feel like Joe UX9 started that. It's kind of cool. Max Strike. Okay, so Assault Vest Kyogre is what we assume when we see Max Strike. That's probably Hyper Beam. But good call. Not going for the Geyser when the Gastrodon switches in. Gastrodon goes right back out. Says, hey, I know you have to respect the fact that I'm here. And I'm going to use that to my advantage and just leave. If Shohei goes for Max Geyser, that would be a little bit insane. But he could do it. Wow. +2 G-Max Wildfire in the sun. A not very effective move on Incineroar gets the one-hit KO. Yeah, there's Max Lightning. So that's good. I mean, the Max Lightning is good for Shohei, unless a Rillaboom comes in and sets up the grassy terrain. But the electric terrain will make it so that Gastrodon at least can't yawn his team. But still, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the fourth Pokemon is for Shohei. That's going to be the decider, I think. You would imagine it's Rillaboom. Wow, that Charizard did some work. I mean, since this bulky weakness policy Charizard is such a new trend, I'm not sure what speed stats it runs. I'm not sure its investment really in any of its stats besides what we see on its HP. I mean, clearly it has some defense investment too to take that Behemoth Blade like it did. But I'm curious as to how fast those Charizards are. Okay, Rillaboom is looking real great here. But probably this is an Assault Vest Groudon that has a Fire-type move. Can hit it pretty hard. So I think that this is definitely in Naoto's favor to wrap up this game 1. And Hyper Beam from Kyogre actually does pretty nice damage into Gastrodon, so that might come out at some point too, but I would imagine he just goes for Grassy Glide. Groudon takes that well. Heat Crash into the Protect. So Heat Crash is a one-hit KO on Rillaboom. Yeah, so the yawn does come out because of grassy terrain. It's kind of the double-edged sword of running Rillaboom as your Kyogre answer. I'm sorry, your Gastrodon answer. Like, sure, you can one-shot it and you have the priority move in Grassy Glide. But you set up the grassy terrain for it, and it can yawn your team. Yeah, this is very much in Naoto's favor. Just go for Heat Crash again. Not Assault Vest. Once again, I was wrong in my assumption about Assault Vest Groudon. The last one was White Herb. This one could be as well. So double protect there just to let the Kyogre go to sleep. Very solid. Yeah, I'm used to seeing Assault Vest Groudons. I mean, on some of these Lunala compositions, we've seen Leftovers Groudon throughout the season. That kind of popped up in the middle of the season. It is Leftovers. Okay, maybe I missed that earlier. But it is Leftovers, okay. So probably Precipice Blades, Heat Crash, and Bulk Up or Swords Dance and Protect. That's probably the set. Might just Protect Rillaboom. It's going to make for kind of a stally end to this game, but okay, just Grassy Glide. So that's Miracle Seed damage for sure. That was already something that Naoto could assume, having seen the Protect on Rillaboom. But that was a lot of damage on a Groudon, so that's Miracle Seed. And the Assault Vest we've already assumed is on Kyogre because we've seen Max Strike and we've seen Max Lightning. So looking into game 2 here, adjustments. This really wasn't that close. Like, I think Shohei has the tools to beat the team, but that Charizard just went crazy. And surely Shohei doubled it on turn 1 with the Behemoth Blade and the Max Geyser and assumed that would be enough. Which was a brave play, by the way, because Gastrodon could have swapped in on turn 1, but it didn't. So he got the turn correctly, but he just had no clue that Charizard would be so bulky, and I did not either. This is a KO. +2? Should be, right? Yeah, +2 Earth Power is enough. So how does Shohei come back and steal a game 2 here? Assault Vest Kyogre is obviously very good. I mean, it tanks hits from Naoto's team really well. By the way, I totally forgot to mention this, but Naoto is the 2019 World Champion. And he's back with Groudon and Lunala and Incineroar. So I'd be curious to know if this feels like a comfort pick for him, because he literally won Worlds with Lunala, Groudon, and Incineroar. I mean, obviously it's a completely different format, and it is a very different team. But I wonder how much of it was a a comfort pick, or if he kind of came to the Lunala Groudon choice independently of his success with Lunala Groudon 3 years ago. So I wonder what kind of Thundurus this is, and I wonder if it comes to this game too. Because it could be the way to shut down the Groudon. I would imagine Shohei in his game plan against this kind of composition, he probably doesn't expect the Charizard to come to game 1. And there's the same lead, and okay. So that probably means no Thundurus. There's got to be Incineroar or Rillaboom in the back for Shohei. So the same leads, same exact leads. So Shohei's thinking to himself, you know what? I kind of got rolled in game 1, but I had the tools that I need to win. So Naoto, I think a strong play from him potentially is to swap the Charizard out into the Gastrodon. But Shohei goes for a different turn 1 play. Just swaps into Incineroar. I mean, it could take a ton of damage, but This is already a different line of play here. Okay, no swaps from Naoto. Wow. He's like, hey, it worked the first time. Because I was thinking that Shohei, what he could have done was like a Behemoth Blade, like he did in game one, into the Charizard, but a Max Lightning instead of a Max Geyser. And that might actually, that double up might actually get the KO on the Charizard. But and Nato probably is aware of that, but he decided not to change anything up. It looks like, oh, never mind, he's changing everything up. Okay. Groudon's intimidated. It's not going to be doing tons of damage. There's just a raw blast burn. So it's going to be, it's not going to be able to move on turn 2. Max Strike. Okay. Wow, so bulky. I'm not used to those calcs on Charizard. That is crazy. Max Quake. I mean, it's a cool switch up from Naoto, but yeah, he's not doing a ton of damage. That Kyogre is already really bulky. Groudon's at -1. I mean, Zacian presumably is going to come back in, get a Behemoth Blade off on Groudon. Whether it's at +1 or it's at neutral at that point, it's still going to do a ton of damage. Charizard is stuck on the field doing nothing because it has to recharge. So I don't think that this is nearly as good for Naoto as Game 1 was. I would imagine Shohei's like, hey, I'll take this. Yeah, just take out the Charizard. Probably a parting shot into Groudon and switch to Rillaboom. It's a little bit risky because Naoto could call that. Because if he goes for Max Flare here, it's gonna do like over half to Rillaboom. A little bit telegraphed. Let's see what happens. Okay, Max Quake. Into Kyogre again. That makes sense. Naoto's damage output under Kyogre for the rest of the match is looking pretty slim. Not a lot of ways to deal damage here. He can sort of wall it with the Gastrodon, but Gastrodon takes a long time to beat Assault Vest Kyogre. It has to be like a 1v1 in-game type of situation, typically. So Lunala is here this time. I don't think it really loves being in this position. I mean, it's not horrible either, but it's not great. Poor position is just looking really good for Shohei. Okay, breaks the Shadow Shield with Grassy Glide, Max Geyser. Doesn't do a ton because the sun was up. But that's a lot of damage onto Lunala. Okay, sun goes back up. That's not doing much though, yeah. Groudon's at -2, I think. Rain was up. But I think it's still the correct play. I mean, there's just... Naoto just can't do much here with the Dynamax Groudon. So, like, I think Naoto's out here is somehow to take out the Rillaboom, which Shohei's not going to just let him take it out here. But that's Naoto's win con, I think. Take out the Rillaboom with the Heat Crash, maybe a double up, because Heat Crash might not even do it at this point. Take out the Rillaboom and then Gastrodon can wall the rest of the team. Like, that's the only win con I can really see from Naoto. By the way, guys, in this downtime here, subscribe if you haven't already. I plan to do a lot more Worlds content, VGC content in general, especially in the downtime that we have until the new games come out. I really want to put out content of analysis of older matches, analysis of more Worlds matches, reactions to matches I haven't seen before. I just want it to be a time where VGC kind of stays fresh. You know, play my little part in it, I guess, but where VGC stays fresh for all of us as we wait for the new games to come out, wait for the new circuit. So drop a like on the video, a subscribe on the channel. I appreciate it. Is that a crit? Okay. Still a huge mountain to climb here. But I was talking to the camera and I missed the fact that Rillaboom protected. Okay. So in terms of Pokemon, it's even now. It's 3 versus 3, but still. I mean, they're saying Lunala can run away with the game. I don't see how Naoto just does enough damage to the Kyogre. Although that, I mean, that critical hit, maybe that was the little moment that could sway this into Naoto's favor if he's able to deal with the Rillaboom and then bring in his Gastrodon and wall the rest of the team. It seemed like a long shot when I mentioned that earlier, but it seems like less of a long shot now. Yeah, so Rillaboom really needs to... You know what? I've been talking about the Gastrodon in the back this whole time, but we don't even know. We don't even know if Gastrodon is in the back. Have we seen Incineroar on Naoto's side? Or have we only seen 3 Pokemon? So unless I'm forgetting, which I could be, maybe we haven't seen the 4th Pokemon from Naoto. We don't even know if Gastrodon's in the back or not. Okay. That's a knockout. That's not a knockout. I mean, that's max HP Lunala. It's probably got some defensive investment too. I really thought it was going down there to Behemoth Blade, but it hangs on. Wow. Wow. I love it. I love the vibe from Worlds in general, obviously, but seeing the well, he's the reigning world champion really, because we haven't had the past couple of years of Worlds. Seeing the reigning world champion come back with a few of his favorite Pokemon, and you know, run them bulky like he did then, and I don't know, it's a little bit romantic, you might say. Yeah, 2 turns of Trick Room left. Um, Now it is really threatening. Yeah, it doesn't take down. I mean, Groudon's still really weak. Okay. So Shohei got that turn correctly. I'm surprised that Naoto targeted the Zacian there with Lunala. There's Gastrodon. But Naoto's down to his last 2 Pokemon, so Gastrodon has to stay on the field. And there's a Rillaboom in the back, so... now he's got a big Precipice Blades here, and Kyogre cannot protect. So probably Rillaboom just swaps in here. If he wants to preserve his Kyogre. Or, I mean, he could swap in on the Zacian slot, because Zacian just protected, and he'll go down to a double up. No swaps. And he doesn't Earth Power that slot. I think that was a big brain play from Shohei. Oh, I don't know. This is close. That's a ton. Oh, crit? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. So this should be a lock. Yeah, this is a lock for Shohei. Even though Naoto can protect here and the Zacian can go to sleep, this should be. I mean, Groudon's like at what, -2, -3, something like that, and the rain is up. Rillaboom is gonna win. So did that crit, that play rough crit, matter in the end? It's hard to say, because it's not like Gastrodon was in a great spot with the Rillaboom coming in. Um, Maybe it didn't matter that much. I mean, it could have mattered in the sense that if he still had his Gastrodon here, he's got Protect on both Pokemon, so he could potentially go for Protect Mind Games. He could try to call which slot Shohei would target with his Rillaboom. But it's neither here nor there because that's not what happened. Okay, bulk up. Yeah. So that's the set that we've been seeing on these Lunala teams. Okay, the rain is over. I don't think it takes a I don't think it takes a Grassy Glide. Yeah, no, not a Miracle Seed Grassy Glide. Even if it's at +1 defense, I don't think it will. So this should be over. Should be going on to a game 3. He's gonna protect though. Groudon's gonna protect, but that just gives Zacian another turn to wake up. So I guess it's not 100% over, but it's nearly there. But this is Pokemon. I've been playing VGC for 7 years, and never say never. Never say never. It's never over till it's over. You do have to play to all your outs. Some players might forfeit here in Naruto's position. Like maybe they were like, you know what, I'd rather not reveal bulk up. I'm in a losing position. I'm gonna lose. I'll just forfeit and go on to game 3. And I mean, in a sense, that's a respectable play. You want to conserve information. That can be an advantage for sure. But I definitely respect the fact that Naoto's playing this out because, yeah, it's never over till it's over. I think Shohei has the potential to stay asleep for one more turn if my internal sleep timer is correct on that. Okay, lives that. This has to be. Okay, GG. Yeah, I don't think that was ever winning for Naoto. Okay, game 3. I mean, the obvious difference there was Naoto didn't Gigantamax's Charizard like he did in game 1. He went for the switch up. I mean, I thought with the same exact leads and he didn't switch out any of his Pokemon in turn 1 of game 2, I thought he was going to go for the same thing. Just Gigantamax Charizard. Just do the whole thing like he did in game 1, but he went for a completely different game plan and he just really lacked the damage output to get much momentum. And Charizard went down fairly easily. Went for Blast Burn, had to recharge. Took a couple hits from Kyogre. But I think Naoto brought the right Pokemon in game 2. I like the Lunala. Incineroar is good too. I don't know. That slot could be either one. I'm not sure what he's going to do. I'm not sure what I would do. And Shohei's got to be thinking, like, okay, Naoto's probably going to go with the Gigantamax Charizard play again. And what do I do about that? I feel like he's got kind of this back pocket Behemoth Blade and Max Lightning play into it. That's very punishable from Naoto's perspective. He could just swap in Gastrodon into the Charizard slot, I mean. So we'll see. I feel like turn one of game three, unless they play kind of a stally positioning type game like we saw in the other set of game three. I feel like turn one of game three is going to be the big decider here. If you guys have watched this long, thank you for sticking around. My voice is feeling tired. I'm not used to talking this much at one time, just talking to a camera for however long it's been. But thanks for being here. I'm having fun. Hope you guys are. Can't wait for Top Cut tomorrow. Okay. No switch ups. Game one, game two, game three, all the same leads. So here we go. Last round of day two Swiss. The winner makes it into Top Cut of Worlds. The loser is done. And I have a feeling this next turn is going to be a huge factor in who progresses and who goes home. Not that they're going to like walk home in that moment. Probably going to stay in London for a couple days or something like that, but they're thinking about it. Okay. So choosing not to double up, just playing a safer turn one. He's like, that game one double up really came back to bite me, so let's not do that. Let's just play it safe, get the Intimidate on the Groudon, tank a fire type move from the Charizard that could go into the Zacian slot, the Wildfire. There we go. Naoto's like, yep, I got a Dynamax Charizard. That is the play. Kyogre. Definitely Dynamaxes, yeah. So we'll see how aggressive Shohei wants to be. I think, honestly, the safe play for him is just to max strike. Covers for Gastrodon coming in. It neutralizes a potential max airstream that Naoto could go for. And Naoto's got to be thinking to himself, like, I got to get damage on the Kyogre. Okay. So we'll do a little over half. Yeah. Precipice Blades. Okay. So Max Strike does come out, but Naoto did not Airstream. So his Pokemon are at -1 speed now. Precipice Blades hits both. The Incineroar goes down. Taking a knockout on turn one, I think, is pretty big. So we saw from game one, Behemoth Blade does about 50%. So if Zacian comes in, yeah, you don't want to send a Rillaboom here. That'd be terrible. If Zacian comes in, I think you have to protect it. Or do you? Or does he have sub? It's late, and I can't remember if we've seen sub on this Zacian or not. This is a rough spot for Shohei. Rough spot. Naoto having taken a KO already means that Shohei's defensive pieces, the switching synergy is just not where he'd like it to be with Incineroar missing. So Zacian, I mean, it can do a lot of damage with a Behemoth Blade here, but Max Guard. Whoa, and Shohei's popping off. He's like, I called this. He is pumping the air right now with his fist. I'm shocked by that Max Guard. Wow. Wow. And the Geyser takes out Groudon. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That was such a huge swing. I really didn't see a way back in, at least that quickly, back into the game for Shohei. I did not see it. And I honestly, I never imagined that Naoto would max guard in that situation with the amount of HP that he has. I mean, sure, he could take a double up from a Behemoth Blade plus a max move from Kyogre because his Charizard's at -1 speed, so he would be susceptible to that. But that's a hard commit from Shohei to do that. And Shohei made the right call. The max, wow. And no Groudon is huge. I mean, Naoto at this point has to realize that Charizard is his only way, really, of dealing with the Rillaboom. And dealing with the Rillaboom is very important. And I almost thought maybe he should just hard swap out Charizard here. I guess Charizard lives this. Yes. But Kyogre just doubles it, right? Yeah. Yeah, I had that thought. Maybe Naruto should hard switch out Charizard here because it's gotten the Wildfire off and it's doing the residual damage with Wildfire Chip. And having just max guarded, it's a clear double up for the Zacian and the Kyogre. But Trick Room, okay, I mean, it's not over, but boy, did that momentum swing. That is incredible. So Gastrodon comes in probably. Or does he have Gastrodon? Because I feel like it would have come in. I feel like it would have come in on turn 2. It would have switched in. But Naoto could have been trying to call Shohei's bluff and just decided he wouldn't swap in his Gastrodon. There is no Gastrodon. Okay, that as I started to think about it, the Gastrodon, if it were there, I think it would have swapped in on turn 2. I think he would have max guarded his Charizard like he did, and he would have swapped in Gastrodon, and that would have been a great play. So you go for Meteor Beam into Kyogre and I don't think we've seen a Dark type move from Incineroar, but something like a Throat Chop into the Kyogre as well, and you hope it's enough. I don't think it's going to be enough. Okay, but Kyogre switches out anyway, which is the correct play. If you can... well, Rillaboom should faint, actually, to that double up. And I think Naoto should double that slot here. Wow, really? Wow. Man, I feel like you just go for damage there because you cover for the switch. I mean, Meteor Beam's going to do a lot. Probably does like, what, 80%? 70%? Yeah. But man, a double up with like a Throat Chop or something. Not that we, I mean, we don't know that Naruto has Throat Chop, I don't think. But man, that would have been so good. Okay, I think Zacian, unless the Lunala has like no investment, I think the Zacian is in range of a Moongeist Beam, a +1 Moongeist Beam. I wonder what Shohei does here. He could protect Zacian and fake out. Oh, he has protect on Rillaboom. I forgot about that. Yeah, double protect is fine. Just stall at the turns of Trick Room. And then after Grassy Terrain Recovery, the Zacian might be out of range of a +1 Moongeist Beam, which would be really big. And I'm not sure what's optimal for Naruto to do here. You want to Moongeist Beam into one of these slots. Shohei probably goes for a Grassy Glide into Lunala, just kind of a last thing for Rillaboom to do before he goes down. Get some damage into the Lunala with a priority move. So knowing that, Naruto probably just Moongeist Beam the Zacian. You could double the Zacian here, actually. You could double the Zacian. That'd be interesting. You really want Kyogre to come in here while Trick Room's up because Kyogre cannot protect. Yeah, there's that Grassy Glide. That does a lot of damage. Wonder if he doubles Zacian here. Okay, that does KO. Okay, actually, I never even really noticed Zacian's HP stat, but it didn't have a lot of HP investment, so that makes sense that that KOs. Okay, so just Kyogre versus these two guys under Trick Room, and I think it's one last turn of Trick Room? Yeah, like Joe says, the rain stops at the perfect time. He gets to bring Kyogre back in and get 5 more turns of it. But this game's not going to last 5 more turns. Okay, one more turn of Trick Room, the little thing at the bottom says. That could be big. Man. And I think, yeah, Wildfire Chip is done. I think a double up from Moongeist Beam and a Dark-type move, I just have this feeling it's going to leave Kyogre on like 7 HP. And Kyogre's going to get a knockout. In the very least on Incineroar, and then Trick Room's going to end, and then it's going to knock out the Lunala and have like, and like be in the red. That's what I feel like is going to happen here. This is tense. The last moments of Day 2, 2022 Worlds. Who's going to move on? Wide guard? Wide guard? That's huge, right? It's got to be Water Spout and Origin Pulse. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Revealing it in the very last moments of the set. I love it. What I was saying about earlier about I wonder if Naoto if Naoto chose the Lunala and the Groudon as kind of a comfort pick from 2019. I'm thinking now yes, because Wide Guard is not standard on Lunala in 2022, but he had Wide Guard in 2019. Okay, Thunder. It's not going to do a ton. I mean, that's like a 3-hit KO, but the paralysis. Another parting shot. Okay, so that probably means there's no dark type move. Does he just go for Wide Guard again? Wide Guard parting shot? There's a little bit of mind games here. It's like, does he... You know, does Shohei think that Naoto thinks that he has parting shotted enough where he doesn't have to Wide Guard and protect his team anymore from the water type attacks? So Shohei thinks it's time to go for the water type attack, the Origin Pulse, or actually the Water Spout here. A little bit of mind games, but I think it comes down more so to the paralysis. And if Naoto's Lunala can attack through paralysis or not. There's the Water Spout. That did a lot to Lunala. Trick Room. Still dicey, I mean. Now Lunala might actually live in Origin Pulse. So if it can get 2 +1 Moongeist beams off, that might be enough. That should be enough. Plus a Flare Blitz here. He goes for Wide Guard again. He goes for Wide Guard again and Flare Blitz just for a tiny bit of damage. Wow. Well, Naoto is patient if nothing else. And the burn! That might be big. Origin Pulse missed. Oh, it doesn't miss. Of course, Wide Guard. Oh my gosh. Wow. I do feel like Lunala lives in Origin Pulse, honestly. Like with very little HP, like just a few. I mean, he has to stop going for wide guard at some point, and it's got to be while Trick Room is still up. There's 3 more turns of Trick Room. I think you got to go for the Moongeist Beam. Wow. Well, I am not the 2019 World Champion, so what do I know? Yeah. I would have done the same thing if I were Shohei. I mean, he can't wide guard forever. Excuse me. And the player timer of Naoto is quite low. Okay, is this enough? +1 Moongeist Beam? He got it. He got it. He did it. I think the burn mattered. I think the burn really mattered. But Naoto played exceptionally, very patient at the end there. Got the wide guard plays right. Just chipped a little bit with Flare Blitz. Got the burn. Put it in range for a Moongeist Beam. And was fortunate that he didn't get a couple full paralyses there in a row. That probably would have lost it for him. Wow. Okay, Naoto's on the top cut. Once again. Well, we'll stop it right there. This video's been long. I didn't know that match was gonna go on so long, but man, that was a good one. I'm so glad I got to watch that. If any of you just watched that for the first time with me, I'm sure you feel the same way. That was a great one. Can't wait for Top Cut tomorrow. Thanks for sticking around. We'll see you later.